we are live.
Yes,
Hi.
we are live.
Good evening, everyone. So, have you had your dinner? Okay, so we are back again today in the second day post MCO, CMCO, right? My name is Bruce and welcome to the Restart program. And today we have got someone very unique in every sense of the word, someone really special in every sense of the word. And he is no other than the legal eagle of Malaysia. You won't find another lawyer like him. And I'm proud to introduce to you, I wouldn't say Mr. Master Chris Tan Chu Pim. Welcome to the program.
Thank you, Dato, for having me.
Okay.
Right, and I always like the way you call me, just to start. That's because you always get my whole name in because you have always been my lecturer and my teacher. Right.
Exactly.
Only teacher
I
address a
remember
student.
your handwriting. I remember the assignments you handed up. When was it? 25, 26 years ago when Chris was an A-level student, if I'm not mistaken. All right. And that was before he left for Bond University in Australia. So
Yes.
I happened to be honored to be your law lecturer then. And now
Yep.
he has progressed from being a young Padawan to a master, okay, with great standing. So Chris is the corporate real estate lawyer, entrepreneur, speaker, author. He's been practicing for 20 years right now and is the managing partner of Chur Associates. So you have seen him, as a real estate lawyer, he's always advising people on strata titles, REITs, asset owners, on investment into property as well in various platforms. You can find him in events and right now very, very active in webinars as well. So that's why we are so honored to have you here. And then you're also very active with FIAPSI, being a judge, being a panelist with HPROP. You actually gave me a list, your secretary gave me a list of your achievements. And I think if I'm going to read this from page 1 till the last page, it's going to come to the end of the program already. And so I think you can just Google Chris's achievement, but he's a fantastic and accomplished speaker. He is an entrepreneur and investor as well as an author. How many books have you written, Chris?
12.
12 books.
12 books, yes. 1 dozen, yes.
Right, 12 books, 1 dozen. That's quite an accomplishment. So aside from being a lawyer, Chris is also active in the entrepreneur circles as well. So tonight, ladies and gentlemen, we will talk not only about legal matters, but also matters on entrepreneurship, all right? On how do we grow. Let's not even talk about grow. How do we survive through this COVID pandemic? All right. So guys at home or wherever you are, it's already the CMCO, so you guys are a little bit more relaxed right now. You could be out there having a drink or dinner. If you have anything you want to ask Chris, or you want to ask myself, or you want us to discuss on anything that is burning inside you, please leave a comment. Please leave a comment and we will come and discuss that topic that you want. All right?
Sure.
Just leave a comment and we will straight away jump into that topic that you raise. Is it okay? Are you guys all right or not? If you're okay, just click okay or give a love or heart. Please share this. It's very rare to have Chris Tan, former student, Padawan, now a grandmaster in law and also an entrepreneur. Okay, let's get the ball rolling. CMCO, are we really in a lockdown? Because you are in the office right now.
Yes, I am.
43. So that's no longer MCO practice. So what's happening right now? I think most of the people are already in the office. I'm working from home. Some of my people are already in the office. What is CMCO, Chris, and how is it different from MCO?
Actually, I think MCO for all intent and purposes have no more real meaning, right? Let's put it this way. I think MCO for the purpose is that it doesn't end effectively on today, which is yesterday, which is 12th of May. But I think effectively CMCO actually replaced MCO effectively on 4th of May, right?
Okay.
Which is as a Star Wars fans, is may the 4th be with you, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm saying to you is that that is actually the 4th of May is actually effectively we're entering a phase called the CMCO, right? So I'm saying to you is that CMCO to me is as good as what normality will look like, right? When I'm in the MCO lockdown. First of all, everyone have a different version of whether it's a lockdown lah, whether it is a circuit breaker lah, you know, they have different name for this thing or that. But effectively what it means is that we are all isolated. We cannot move so freely, all right? But right now, I don't see any problem. Yes, there are restrictions. Yes, there are conditions, right? And I can still go out after 10. Yeah, there's no time. It's not like a curfew anymore, right? And there's a lot of freedom compared to during MCO right now. I can still be my office because otherwise this is wrong already. You know, you can summon me already, right? At this
but
moment.
there is definitely still a difference between CMCO and life as we remember it. Okay.
Correct. There is.
Prior to the March of 18, right?
Right. Right.
So there is still a big difference. I think, firstly, of course, there's all these things that we need to take care of the health, the scanning, the hand sanitizing, and the mask wearing. This is the big difference, all right? That's very apparent. But there's also another difference, which is a little bit more silent, which is the difference that it makes to business. Because if you go to restaurants today, it's not that full. If the roads are packed, but if you go to anywhere else, people are still not buying, right? And companies are still many, despite going full force into work, they are still not operating at full force. They are still on a save mode or a survival mode. So what does it all mean, Chris?
Okay, can I show you, Dato? I think the way I look at it is very simple. All right. No matter how you want to look at it, it's a lot of people ask me, what is new normal? What is new normal? I only have 3 words for new normal. The 3 words for new normal is called live with COVID-19. First of all, COVID-19 will not run away, right? So if COVID-19 and the vaccine for it is not going to be found in the next few years, we have to learn to live with COVID-19. So there's no way, there's no turning back for us to go back to the normal that we have before 18th of March. There's no way we can go back.
Until the vaccine is found.
Until the vaccine is found and until COVID-19 is really under control. Let's put it this way. What does it mean by live with COVID-19? Can I just share with you what it means is like live with cancer, right? There's no cure for cancer. There's no vaccine for cancer, right? Live with AIDS, for example. Live with Ebola. In fact, live with malaria. Still today, there is no way that we can still control this kind of spread. But my highlighting to you is that it doesn't mean that we should keep ourselves locked down. Our lockdown is only for one purpose, which is flatten the curve, which is stopping the spread, right?
And at don't let it overwhelm the health systems, right?
Correct.
And I think we've done that quite well.
Correct. Excellent.
We have done that quite well. Today, I think our Director General of Health announced that there were only 8 people in ICU, only 4 requiring ventilators. So we have got more than enough capacity to take care of this. So that is
amazing.
Excellent.
Yes.
Right? But what does it mean for business? I mean, for us entrepreneurs, for us business owners, and the business world, because we can live with cancer because no one passes cancer around unless you smoke or whatever. Right. And AIDS, it's not as contagious as this thing called coronavirus or COVID-19. Yeah.
Right.
So this is really something that has really affected the economy, not since the Great Depression, some say. So what are your views?
Sure. My view is very simple. Certainly, yes. I think I look at this, if I can look at it positively, right? This is actually an accelerator, right? You are in the productivity council, you know, you are in how to bring the business to the next level. You know, we always talk about accelerated,
Exactly.
right? This is the mother of all acceleration. I can say, right? The mother of all acceleration. You know why? Now you have to reinvent your business
Yep.
to do what you used to do in a different manner. There's only one consideration in this. The consideration is called social distancing. All right? Because you want to control the spread, before that is flatten the curve. Right now, our mission is called zero spread. It's called zero spread. So if you want to do zero spread, we have to look at the business. How do we survive a new reality whereby we need to be 1-2 meters away from each other all the time, right?
Correct.
We cannot no longer hold hand, right? We cannot shake hand, correct? We look at you, namaste, zooming, you know, doing online conferencing is the way of life now. This is especially hard for people like me, you know. You know why? Because, for example, I used to love the stage, right? I will speak to thousands of people, correct? But then now I'm limited to speaking to my own laptop, right? For example, in this
But
case.
this reaches out to thousands of people.
Correct, but I can't interact. You understand? I can only guess their reaction. So I have to a lot of things playing in my mind. So I'm saying that as far as business is concerned, you have to make the consideration to say this. I can say, for example, you said some of the restaurant is open, right? Correct? But does it mean that everyone is going in? Just to let you know, the fact that, for example, even today, I invite you, Dato, to come to my house. Correct? There's two considerations. Very important. I must trust you.
Correct.
I trust you a lot. All right? Like number two, I must trust myself a lot that I won't spread to you, that you in turn spread to your family or those that you are in close contact with.
Okay.
Correct? So with that, that is the reality right now.
Yeah,
for
but
the
it's
next 2-3
something
years.
more than just trust, right? I mean, I might trust that restaurant, but
Right.
I guess right now with right now we are into month number 3 or
Right.
moving into month number 3 since the MCO. We find that people are tightening their pockets. So even if I trust your restaurant, I love what you cook, and I trust your food handling and whatever. I may not have enough money to order the best Wagyu steaks that I want, right? I might just order something lower. So that has a somehow slowing effect. It has accelerated innovation, it has accelerated digitalization, it has accelerated many things. But at the same time, you are doing so much more to get so little,
Yep.
returns. So this is a real challenge. So can you tell me, as an entrepreneur and
Right.
as a person that's working around entrepreneurs, who comes out the winners and who comes out the losers? I think it's quite clear lah. We know who the losers are. These are the people involved, the industries involved in probably hospitality, tourism, and these areas. The winners are those in e-commerce, technology, and of course, healthcare services. But those majority in the middle, how should they behave? Who can come out tops, and who, without doing the right thing, will suffer?
Okay. Good, Dato. I think it's a good question. But before I go there, I just want to share one very important phenomenon that I've observed today from the starting of MCO until now, right? There's a lot of blue ocean created as a result of this. So I like your program is called the Restart series, correct? So as if that we need to start again, correct? But when we talk about Restart series, can I also say something very uniquely just happened is this. A lot of businesses are created by Restart. So one of it, I just want to highlight one industry. It's called disinfection. Everyone go into disinfection. We do sanitization, the disinfection before you start. So we go into the business and do disinfection. Remember?
Yeah.
Correct. And what happened is that remember there were factories that allowed to operate during the first few weeks of MCO with MITI approval and all these things. And then there are some cases, unfortunately, with COVID-19 infection and whatnot, and they need to sanitize those things. It started at 50 ringgit per square foot. 50 ringgit per square foot. All right. Do you know how much is it now today? The lowest that I hear?
Yeah.
You want to guess?
10 times
about
cheaper?
It's 5 cents per square foot.
5 cents per square foot. Right.
50
competition
ringgit
is stiff.
to 5 cents per square foot. So what I'm highlighting to you is this. While you have created a lot of blue ocean, it's quickly turning into the Red Sea. Because everyone also jumped in the bandwagon to say, let's do disinfection. Let's go and do this because everyone also need it. So when that happened, the barrier of entry is actually quite low. Right? It's just spraying around with the right material. Correct?
But right now we are really not comparing apples to apples, because there are some who are really using the improper equipment. I was just on an interview with somebody, you would remember Charanjit from Philvaco.
Yes,
he says some
yes.
are disinfecting with slippers, not even wearing PPEs. They are in raincoats and using concert fogging equipment to do disinfection.
That's why I'm saying to you, even with our SOP today, whatever that's implied at the moment is CMCO, correct? You can actually comply to the highest of the standard or to comply to the minimum of the standard. Correct?
But it's always human nature. We will always take the easiest way out to get the maximum returns.
That's why at 5 cents to 50 ringgit, there's so much a difference.
Correct.
The reason I'm going to highlight this story to you is this. While we're looking at the winner and we're looking at the loser, that you asked me to name a few, who are they and whatever that it very quickly, even from a winner, could be very short term.
Yeah.
Because there's only that window of gap where you can charge $50 per square foot, which is probably MCO1 and MCO2, probably that period only. And after that, it's getting more and more already, yes.
So, okay, just hold that thought, because I remember I promised whoever that raised any questions, we are going to make a live discussion of it. And we have got a question from Adeline Lim. And she's talking about a restart involving the education sector. Schools. So the schools are not open yet. And I think recently our education minister, Razi Jidin, says that, okay, when you reopen, schools should not have more than 17 students. So how is this going to bode well, right? What about university students? What is the future of e-learning? What is your view on that?
My view is very simple. This is where we accelerate for the learning to be from home. I can tell you, even if I said I allowed the school to open, you as a parent perhaps have reservation whether you want to send your kid to school or not. So, for example, if you can, you probably can apply to the teacher or to the school to say, can we still do work study from home, which they are already doing. They are programmed to do remote education, right? Remote homework. I know because my nephew and nieces and whatnot are complaining to me. They said during MCO they got more homework than they usually do.
Correct.
And the best thing is that, you know why? Because normally they have a very close guidance. They can copy from each other. They can help each other to do. But now they're under the supervision of the parents who double up as a teacher and have higher expectation than the teacher, right? So I'm saying to you is that in the education sector, I think whatever it is, I want to highlight one thing now. Whatever sector you are, things will not quickly go back to normal, right? A lot of people say yesterday was 12th of May. Supposedly we end our MCO today. Today doesn't mean that we can party like it's 1999. No. You understand? Huh? There's no such thing. Correct? What happened is that it will slowly and surely, it take a time for them to gradually go back. So you look by education, even in China for that matter. Let me highlight to you. China is way ahead of us in terms of education coming back, correct? But they are also taking very slowly, right? And then do it with a proper plan. So one of the things that I always think that perhaps our government in implementing the CMCO could be a little bit more details oriented. Instead of saying that, oh, you can do this, you are self-regulated, we trust the people, I thought it would be a little bit more like a nanny state. You know, for example, I'm expecting you to say, oh, do this, do that, make it clearer. Because let's put it this way, we have different interpretation.
Right.
The one spirit that Malaysians always have is called Malaysia Boleh. If you give me a very broad, general SOP, chances are there's thousands of variants. Yeah.
But I think that's the difference, because one thing is good that we have split the education ministry into higher education and the Ministry of Education, because the way we treat kids, in school should be very different from the way we treat university students. For once, online education works for a adults, right? Or at least
Right.
those in university or college level where they can have self-directed learning via e-learning and stuff over Zoom. But
Right.
for early childhood education, kindergartens, primary schools, those kids, you find that it's very difficult to replace or replicate, the school environment and the learning and the interaction with computer learning. And you can't do that. So I think the only way is you need to really get them into schools, but do it at a very progressive level. And as you said, it has to come with very, very clear guidelines.
Yes, I think very simple. I think our school, especially is the younger kids, in a way, we are prepared for this. Right? You know why? There's no more exam. Remember?
Yeah.
Standard 1, Standard 2, Standard 3, no more exam. Correct? So it's more about experiential, more about learning, more about interactive and whatnot. So I'm saying to you is that we have to change the module because let's put it this way, all the kids today cannot live without their handphone, their
Right.
device. Correct? The device we have become cyborg. By the way, this is an extension of us. Correct? So when you talk about this device, I'm saying to you is that they are now perfecting the skill now by force.
Correct.
They like to do their whatever.
Yeah.
Now they have to do it because now I like the way why Jack Ma said. I mean, I listened to one of his recent interview. Jack Ma said this. He said, ICT or digitalization make you rich in the past. Correct?
Correct.
And he said ICT keep your survivor, right, moving forward. So now this is like electricity. Last century when you have electricity, you make a lot of money. Let's put it this way. Correct? Now you cannot live without electricity. It's a basic.
And they're still making a lot of money. Tenaga National still recording billions in terms of revenue and only giving measly 5%, 2% discount.
But I can't comment on my client, so it's okay.
Okay.
But I'm just highlighting to you, it's basically what I'm trying to say. ICT moving forward, it's just like electricity, correct? It's something that keep you alive, keep you survive, right? One of the businesses I can tell you, you talk about winner and loser. If I can go into the winner and loser here, is that I want to say one thing very interesting. It's just like what you do in your restart program and whatnot. It is the rise and emergence of personal media on social media. What it means is that there's a lot of KOL, influencer outside using personal branding and go on because everyone can be a TV, right? This is like an entertainment, correct? And which means that during this period, you can see that there's a lot of closing down of a lot of traditional media. For example, financial
closing
day.
down and entertainments, I think the cinemas are not going to do well.
Correct.
Yeah.
Because now everyone know how to do Netflix already, right?
Correct. Netflix is going up. Cinemas are not doing well. Most movies are pushing their launches to the small screen instead. Okay, we need to move on. There's another question from Daljit. You remember Daljit? She's, I think, a practicing lawyer. I knew her when she was with AIRDA or EduCity at one point.
Hi, Daljit. Yes.
Right. So Daljit is asking you, how would the current position impact property or education REITs?
It will have big impact. Right. Let's put it this way. I think real estate industry, for all intent and purposes, talking about return, and the return is on rental yield and it's on usage. Correct. So at the end of the day, if the usage is not there, or if the usage are being reinvented, right, there will not be such a big return. Right. So we have to rethink about space. Right. Two things that can happen about real estate. Since you mentioned real estate, right, I don't want to talk about REITs just generally, but I'm saying the way we think about real estate is so different now. All right. If everyone need to work from home, what happened to the offices? It will shrink, right?
Correct.
All right. Number two, if everyone is talking about social distancing, what happened to the alfresco area? To me, a dining out experience, to me, literally, it must be something to die for, If it's not something to die for, you can forget about it. You can forget about it. If it's something that you can cook from your house, that you actually learn how to make the cake and whatnot, you probably won't go out anyway. Correct? So I'm saying to you is that because of this, it will impact in any REITs for that matter. It's not just the education REITs, right? It could be the shopping mall REITs, for example. that's being impacted, right? And obviously, because of online digital marketing and whatever that is, one REIT is bound to go up. It's called a warehouse REIT. You think about it, right? REIT as in real estate investment trust. We talk about the warehouses are now being more to use. Logistic hub, for example, things like this, right? Could be interesting. But I'm saying to you, a lot of people do this. I mean, people like in a more developed country where everyone stays in high rise will probably have no choice. But I tell you what, there would be a trend after this to move from luxurious high rise back to landed property because of this concept of social distancing and the fact that I don't want to do the common property together.
All right.
Yeah.
Now that you mentioned about social distancing and we talk about REITs, right? We know the whole point about REITs is you need to get returns from your investments on these REITs. And you know that some of these REITs, the way they are structured, they were structured pre-MCO. Right. But right now, we are in a post-MCO stage. We are at a CMCO, a post-MCO stage, and yet we are still living with the contracts, the regulations, the approvals that were all drawn up, agreed upon, and cast in stone prior to MCO. Take, for example, back to Daljit's question on education REITs. I'm familiar with them because I was with Segi once and we did a couple of REIT structures. You find that a classroom those days, education is all about numbers as well, because your cost is fixed. So you need the numbers in order to affect your bottom line. So your classroom used to have like 30 students, but right now you are just restricted to 15. It's half due to social distancing policy. So your revenue that comes in per square foot is actually halved. And that has even affected, the bottom line of the operators. But even from the REITs itself, how are we going to play this? Because the players, the tenants will still be paying pre-MCO rates, whereas right now they are operating in a post-MCO new normal. How do we actually reset this as well? Nature has allowed us to reset our priorities in terms of whether you want to dine out, you want to meet this person, how you interact with family. It's allowed us to reset. But does the law allow us to reset, our agreements as well? What are your views?
Okay, let's put it this way. Law, to me, is the reason why we have law is to add certainty into uncertainty. All right, is to put certainty into uncertainty, right? So therefore, having a contract or whatever thing that's in place at the end of the day is to create certainty, right? But the problem with certainty is that it cannot deal with uncertainty, which means that one is carved in stone and whatever is there. So if you say, if this thing go to the court, right? If you ask me, then of course, you have to honor your obligation. I don't care whether it's now half of your revenue or not, correct? But let's put it this way. Law is a luxury at the moment. To me, really, right? Communication skill is more important to you right now, right? Being the landlord, you must also know that if your tenant cannot survive, although you win a judgment in the court, it doesn't actually make anything. At the end of the day, you still die with them, right? Probably you die slightly later, but still, it's a common survival thing, right? It's a symbiosis. The whole idea between landlord and tenant, which is the REIT owner as well as the education institute operator, is reliant on each other. If you're not doing well, my sector will not do well. Correct? So I'm saying to you that I encourage all the property owner or asset owner to reinvent the usage of the property together, right, from a different angle, and then see how to make the best out of it. If you ask me, social distancing, interestingly, instead of keeping us apart, I think it gets us closer. Let's put it this way. Previously, in a classroom, you can put 40 students here. Today, you can only do 20 students, for example. How about that? But if you move the entire classroom environment online, you can reach 2,000 without being limited by the size of the classroom. So I'm highlighting to you that, while it is like restricted here, but now how do we reach out? Which is the same time, it pushes you towards this. So I'm saying to you is that education will take a different phase. since you are in education, I think education today is no longer classroom style, right? We have gone from the Socrates time whereby you walk with me, I say a few words, they learn from the master Jedi kind of apprenticeship, that kind of thing. But no, today is about experiential gaming, for example, is also a form of education. So I think education is very much different, and whether those education, as we understand it, still have relevance today in the context of new normal is also questionable. I think it's a valid question to ask ourselves.
Okay, now beyond your advice as a lawyer, because you say
Right.
it's all about negotiation, but we still hear of stubborn landlords
Sure.
who doesn't want to budge, and we
Right.
still see it, for me being with MRCA, I think the association is still taking a lead in approaching stubborn landlords. So what is the way around it really? It's not just the landlords, I think, it's also suppliers, in which you have existing onerous obligations. Right now, how do you approach them and say, uh, things aren't as they are, can we come to a middle ground?
I think at the end of the day, it's about survival. Let's put it this way. I think there's a saying. Recently, I done a talk with someone from Shanghai, telling me what's happening there after the lockdown, including the retail or whatever that is. The famous line in Shanghai at the moment within the Chinese visitor, every time we say bye, instead of saying see you, they say see you in 2021. What does that mean? It means that let's survive 2020.
Yeah.
Let's not talk about growth, right? Let's survive 2020 and we talk about growth in 2021. So what it means is this. What it means effectively, what it means is this. I want to say to you is that how do you reach a win-win? I'm just saying to you, if I die, right? If I cannot survive, let's see what is the consequence. You can speculate it. I don't even have to say to you. I can go to me, it's about honest communication. One thing about lockdown and all these things is making everyone very honest. So let's go to the landlord and say to them very simple, collectively or whatever that is, right? Let's find a different model for us to pay a rent.
Right. Okay.
Let's keep ourselves survive. And then we can extend another 6 months on the same rent.
I like what you said, China people, and that reminds me of a quote by Jack Ma. He says 2020 is a sort of a lost year already. If you can survive, you're considered a winner. Okay.
Right.
And everything is all about seeing you in 2021. But before we go on, we just want to say hello to Dr. Sharon Tong, right? She agrees with what you just said, Dr. Sharon Tong. And there's Ivy Hugh, who didn't say hello to us. In fact, she's saying hi to Yi Huang. And we have got Marcus Liu from Unique Fire who said hello. So we just say hello to everyone over there. Okay. So if you like what Chris is saying, just give him a like or give him a love or share, right? Because we still got another 15 minutes of conversation. Now, Chris, again, you say, okay, 2020 is a year for survival. Give you chance. Don't pay first. Pay less. Okay, we can say this to anyone. Our landlords, our suppliers, probably our team members and our employees as well. Sorry, either no pay increase, even pay cuts, or even work from home, take leave, all kinds of ways, deferred payment. Let's all suffer through this together, and then we'll see you in 2021. Now the question is not 2020. Even banks are saying moratorium, 6 months, don't need to pay, right? I'll see you in October or November.
October.
Okay? So now what happens in October? Because right now, we don't know whether things will return to normal. We don't know whether the economic rebound will be a very, very positive upturn. By October, things return to normal. Some say it's a long U or a W, but we don't know. What happens when October comes and things got worse and we are unable to meet these legal obligations? We tell the staff, I know of our captain, Dr. Michael Teo.
Right.
Deferred payment, give you interest back.
Right.
Because he's positive that business will bounce back, and I hope it bounces back, okay, for PKT and for many of us. But what happens if it doesn't? and staff comes back and say, okay, where's my interest? Where's my salary deferred? Banks come in and say, okay, you owe us this much of money that you have accumulated, time to pay up. And so will other creditors and all that. So that would be the start of legal hell. Probably the person's best out of it are lawyers like you. I'm not sure.
No,
So
no,
what
no,
is your
no.
view?
Let's get real here. Let's get real here,
Yeah.
right? Very real. Let's not talk about
Sorry for
theory.
painting a negative scenario, but
No,
I
no,
think
no.
that's a question that could be on everyone's mind because October is not that far away.
Correct. That's why Avi got it right when he sing the song called Tragedy October, right?
Yeah.
Right. I'm saying to you is that for all intent and purposes here is just to say this. Let's talk about lawyer since we want to say lawyer, right? A lot of people say that lawyer very good one. Good time also got a lot of work. Bad time also got a lot of work, right? But the question is that you got work, you can collect money or not?
Correct.
That's the question. That's the question or not, right? So I'm saying to you, even if you have a lot of work, so what? Correct. So I'm saying to you, effectively, I think October is critical. I already predicted in many platforms when I shared. I said, for example, when you have a collapse in your share market, 6 months after that, you will see there will be impact in the market, for example. And we did that. I think in March we have effectively wiped out 400 points from our KLSC. Right now it's bouncing back and whatever. But you think that 400 points will be effective where? And plus the fact we have this thing called moratorium, right? Moratorium means this, at least during these 6 months, there will not be a lot of foreclosure cases, your people default on their loan and whatever, that kind of thing. At least this 6 months is a little bit calmer, correct? So I'm telling you, by the end of the year, to me, you think everything will come back to it? I think yes, right? But it's slowly. And number two, it's called survival of the fittest. This 6 months is for you to consolidate yourself and give yourself a fighting chance to stretch yourself another 3 months to get through to 2021, for example. I am saying this to say that Malaysia is on sale for Q4 this year, effectively, right? Whatever it is, whatever asset you have, whatever I think, those are under severe stress, and that's actually the challenging time. And a lot of people say, does it mean that a lot of people going to court is a legal hell or whatever? I'm saying to you, it's called legal paradise. Why am I using the word legal paradise? If people can sue you, means you've got lifetime, If people can sue you, right, it means that you can prolong a little bit time because our court efficiency is still being tested at the moment. Today, the court just opened. So I'm saying to you is that there will be, because of social distancing and staggering of cases, it could mean more delay, It could actually mean that. So what happened is that be prepared for it, right? Be prepared to buy yourself some time at the end of the day to survive, right? Be prepared to structure. And for example, a lot of people, you just say one day, what if come then I cannot pay whatever interest that I promised to my staff, my supplier, whatever that is. You can't, simple. If you can't, you can't, right? If you need to die, you die, right? I'm telling you is that a lot of people are closing shop, right? During this period, those people are about to retire, but yet to retire now are motivated to retire.
And by October, I think even the best run companies would have run out of reserves as well, right?
Correct.
Right now, we are still running on reserves, okay?
Correct.
Because we have just experienced March and April, now getting into May, right? But when it comes October, it's 6 months down the line, most organizations would have run out of cash. So unless they innovate and find new sources of income, everyone will be under severe stress.
So the best thing to do within this 6 months, if you ask me, is to look for partner for collaboration. Right? If you ask me, the one thing that I learned from boss school is I help you, you help me. Right? and this cannot be more true today. Because, for example, you and I, let's say we are in the same business, for example, right? And you have your strength, I have my strength, correct? This is the time for us to consolidate. So you ask me, there's plenty of M&A going to happen, all right? Where we will strategize the resources. Because to be the survival of the fittest, nobody said that you need to do it alone. Now, here's the tip. You can do it together. At least we die together, lah. Right? We survive together. It could be marriage of convenience. It doesn't need to be long-term. Correct? Because once you all can take care of each other, you can split and go for an agreed divorce with a prenup signed. It's very simple. It's very simple. So what I'm saying to you is that this 6 months, instead of focusing on helping yourself, making yourself lean and fit and whatever so that you can survive end of the year, this is the best time for you to talk to people and start to collaborate. In fact, I'm a propagator to say, talk to your enemy because your enemy know you the best.
That is great advice coming from a Jedi master such as you. Okay, as we face as what Simon, our brother Simon Kang from Kedah. Hello, Simon.
Hi, Simon.
Handsome Superman. He says he has got November rain. Ku Cheng Mei says things will come south in October. But Master Chris says find partners to collaborate. Okay?
Yes.
Because together you become fitter, right? Because it's now about the survival of the fittest. And that echoes what my good friend from Germany, Berlin, Volker Friedrich, how are you, sir? All right. He always advocates a philosopher called Schumpeter. It's about survival of the fittest. It's all about collaboration. But how do we actually collaborate? With your enemy. Can you give us an examples of how you collaborate with the enemy?
Okay, there's a saying to say that the enemy of my enemy is my friend. You hear me out there? Right. So the essence about collaboration sometimes is not with your enemy, but to ask who is the common enemy or who is the enemy of your enemy, right? In that sense. So then you can have to get yourself stronger to do this. Traditional in the past, I mean, look at Romance of Three Kingdoms. I don't know whether this epic is familiar to everyone. 三国演义, for example. It's actually three kingdoms. When they want to balance with each other, there's normally two countries who will collaborate and go and fight the other. Correct? So when they fight and they win the other, so what happens is that the two countries fight again. So I'm saying to you is that we are trying to tell each other that right now you don't compete with me, I don't compete with you. You take care of the south, I take care of the north, for example. Right? I don't kacha you, you don't kacha me. Right? It's like a gentleman agreement. Right? And when the time is up, let's fight again.
Right.
So you become the king of the north, I become the king of the south, and let's fight.
Okay. This Game of Thrones thing is getting to be a bit complicated because you've got everyone plotting against each other and see who is fittest, right? Volker again added it's about creative destruction. It's about innovation, getting to know who are your best ally, right? In order to emerge triumphant. But it sounds like a war here, right?
Yes.
Because it sounds like a war. COVID-19 has flattened the terrain and everyone is coming in and it's at each other because of law, because of rules, because of regulations that were entered into prior to MCO, that none of the drafters of these agreements, now the drafters of these regulations, policies, acts, or whatever you want to call it, had in mind. And right now, we are suffering post-MCO, post-COVID and the new normal, because we had to adhere to these rules, as you mentioned, for the sake of certainty. And should we be allowed to battle it out, or should we follow the way of Singapore, for example, where they introduce a COVID-19 legislation and says, okay, right, let's have an all-encompassing legislation. The rules have changed, the terrain has changed, it's a different game right now, and now it's about time where we all get together instead of fighting, rewrite our relationship, okay, and roles, obligations with each other. What are your views on this COVID-19 legislation?
I'm thinking that obviously it's useful if we can do that, right? But Singapore is different to us. Singapore have traditionally been a nanny state, right? They regulate everything, right? They find everything. So I'm saying to you is that, but Malaysia traditionally is very different. That's why we are represented by different animals. Singapore is always the lion because it's always in pack. There's rules, regulation, who's the king, correct? But I'm talking about Malaysia is the tiger where we hunt alone, right? What I'm trying to highlight to you is that unless the mentality of the people change, right? And the fact that we're prepared for it, but I'm just saying to you, we are doing what best that fit our culture. COVID-19 bill could be good and bad at the same time. Good means we can actually, in China, what happened in China? If I can share a little bit on China, because I've been told as of April, early April, as the end March for that matter, Chinese government have issued, 8,000 certificate of force majeure. So which means you don't really need to get that act proper, or you leave it to the discretion of the government in that sense. That force majeure cert is come out means that you are safe from performance of the previous contract, right? Because now the question is that nobody even drafted an agreement or force majeure clause extensive enough to cover whatever happened now.
Right.
Okay, so I'm saying to you is that while it's good, it could help everyone to guide. It's just like how the moratorium worked, correct? But in the long run, I still believe in self-help. I still believe that the business should look for each other. This is where we have to be the survivor of the fittest. If you're out of the business, you're out of the game, right? You can come back another day, right? But you must learn how to collaborate. You must learn how to help yourself first, because every business is unique. I can tell you, look at the pre-Hatin stimulus package. Our good friend, Dr. Tony Lu, is still always saying that, there's not good enough, not good enough. I understand. It will never be good enough.
Yep.
Even in Singapore, all right, that we say that we think so highly, you think a lot of Singaporeans is still complaining that it's not fully and extensive enough. It can never be enough. You have to understand one thing. Government is trying to do their best, right, to keep your survival. They are not there to keep your growth. You want growth, you take care of yourself. I have created an environment of 6 months with this moratorium. I have created, and I come up with pre-Hatin with certain things I can help, I help. All right? Now is what do you take from it and run? Instead of sitting there like a crying baby and saying, no, you should give me more. But I'm saying to you that perhaps this is the best. There's a reason why you are a businessman and why you're an entrepreneur. It's because you take risks. It's because you know how to make use of the best of resources. Those resources have been defined, it's given to you. It's time to chart out your resources and then take your risks. I keep saying this. I'm a lawyer. It doesn't sound like a lawyer to ask you to always take your risk. But I'm highlighting to you, if you don't take risks now, there's no chance for you to survive. So, we can see, the other day you have a talk with Charanjit, with Yi Huang and everything, talking about how they tweak their business and everything.
Yep.
They're looking at their skill set and see how they transfer their skill set on me. You know what? Yi Huang is in event business, doing event business and whatnot. So what happened is that he's changing his business model and ask people to treat that business like an event. So what do you do? If I want to do fruit business, so what do I do? So I'm just thinking event means I will get this ready. This entire thing is planned out from a skill set that they already have. Correct? So the whole idea here is survival of the fittest. I keep saying that is self-help, which means you help me, I help you, right? Government can create an environment and let's be happy with the environment and see what we can make out of it. If you cannot survive, sorry.
You deserve to die.
Well, may the force be with you, yes.
Right. I love all this Star Wars connotation. But I think what you said is right, because when someone has a heart attack, what you do in the next 30 minutes will determine whether you are dead or alive, right? And I think the same thing happens with us here. When we look at COVID-19, it comes as a slap in your face. But what the pre-Hatin stimulus package has done is just give us some breathing space. It's not to let us survive, but it gives us a moment to reorganize and, as you mentioned, talk, engage, collaborate, and determine your trajectory after this 6 months. If you can't do that, in terms of talking to your people, talking to your suppliers, talking to your landlords, talking to whoever it is, even the government regulations, regulatory bodies, then it's on you. It's not on anyone else. Is that what you're trying to say?
Right. Yes. Dato, I want to highlight one thing here. I'm also a student and a trainer for communication. Right. I believe in communication. And I want to highlight one thing very important. Crisis communication consists of two things. Very important. Huh? One is called accuracy. Number two is called time. I got no time. Correct? So what I'm saying to you is that when you got no time and you need accuracy, right? There's only one strategy for you. So everyone who is listening here, the strategy is called never try, never know. Okay, so what happened is that dive in as soon as you can and get out as soon as you can. Right? So for example, I don't know whether it's right for me to collaborate with you, Dato. So what do you do? Let's collaborate lah.
Right.
Let's go out on a date. Right? If I don't like you straight away, I said no, we're not going to collaborate. If I like you, I said let's do more. Correct?
Or even if it doesn't work out, maybe I can change.
Correct.
As quickly as possible. Yeah.
Correct. But we have time now. We probably, yeah, for example, even if I want you to change, I probably say to you, Dato, you only have one time, huh? This time you cannot change. That's it.
Correct.
You know what? Because we are in crisis at the moment. We don't have the luxury of time when we deal with crisis, because this so-called safe environment that has been created by the government is only for 6 months. And it's ending in October, my friend. We are already in May. Correct? Another few months only. And if you don't do anything about it, sorry. That's it.
Right. So I think what do you think of this? I mean, what you just mentioned echoes what startups do. You know, They say forget about perfection, just fail fast, fail early, just do it and try and survive till your next round of funding, or when you hit it, you cross the chasm. That's how you survive the valley of death, as they say.
Yes, two things here about startup. One is called bootstrap. Okay, you must learn how to bootstrap. Startup is not about getting investor money and start buying your Mercedes Benz and fly around. No, that's not the case, right? You must learn how to bootstrap. Number two about startup is called pivot. There's one word in startup area, because I advise a lot of startup, right? I know how they did their work. It's pivot. This is the time for you to pivot.
We talked about this in Berkeley about a year and a half ago. Yeah.
Correct. So I'm saying to you, we are now in this. We are all startup at the moment. Nobody is spare. For example, even Disneyland, right? How as big as they are, the very first one they operate back is in Shanghai, I think 2 days ago, right? But they are not looking at full capacity. They're looking at half. What they are trying to do, they're trying to build their brand and survive 2020. And next year they might come back stronger. So I'm saying to you, that all these are adding to the whole story here. I want to highlight to everyone to say that, this is a crisis. We must have the startup mindset. Never try, never know. You know why? Fail fast, fail faster. Because when you fail, you learn, and make sure you learn, and otherwise it's not worthwhile. While we have plenty of time during MCO, but once CMCO started, everything started to move. You have no time, right? Because from now, it's May now, so we have June, July, September. Effectively 3.5 months. And that's it. And you have October, they have to face the sequence. Supposing in October, right, we're supposed to get our budget also. Let's imagine what kind of budget we'll get this year. Anyway. We already get it in advance. We already advanced next year budget.
So what are your views? What should the budget be? And what
I think the budget
would it be?
Let me tell you my reservation. Okay. I think
because we know oil prices has dropped. They have lost the Petronas money, right? And
I think
GST. So
correct.
Yeah.
I think the number one is this. I think the decision maker here, first of all, they must have some stability. Because first of all, the decision maker, whoever planning for these things, I don't know whether they have the stability or not. For example, right? So I'm talking about the government. Obviously, I think this is a real concern, correct? And I'm talking about them because it will then determine whether the direction of the budget is still a short-term one or a long-term one. You know why? Because if our decision maker is also on a survival mode, they can make only short-term decision.
Correct. And what are your views right now? Do you think politics is going to influence the budget?
Yes, tremendously.
Because today we have received, some of us on WhatsApp, we have seen the note from the speaker that just says there won't be any debates whatsoever. They will only proceed with the royal address, and that
Correct.
would extend Parliament's life by another 6 months. And
Yes.
probably the next time they meet would be October, which is budget season. So, how do you think it's going to pan out?
I think seriously, I think the one of the things that is very disadvantaged in terms of Malaysia when we face with this COVID-19 is our political situation, right? If you look at China, for all intents and purposes, their government is strong. There's no change of government, whatever, or any threat for that matter. So they can actually believe and the policy can be seen through. I'm only afraid that we might have an American situation at the moment. Like for example, what's playing in Donald Trump's mind is the presidential election this year. All right, if everything is cancelled this year, but the presidential election is not cancelled or delayed. So if you ask me,
and
he
the
might
states
not be right.
in America also have their elections as well.
Correct. So I'm saying to you is that's why you can see how political is impacting the governance and the control and the management of this whole thing. I would say. So I'm saying to you that even as we say right now, all right, we do have this whole thing about this thing. That's why we probably want a ceasefire order within the politician. Perhaps if someone can do that, I will salute them to say this, right? Can you all now ceasefire, right? Forget about this.
You have my vote, right?
Correct.
Resume it next year, 2021, please.
Correct. And we have unity government. For example, I don't think it's a bad idea. Right? Since we have a very proactive royalty at the moment, our ruler can actually play the government and say, hey, can you guys stop fighting? Right? Let's do the best brain here and then save the country first. And then let's reset the whole thing in 2021.
That's what you said. 2020 is about collaboration, working together, be friends with your enemy's enemy, do it for the sake of survival. And
Correct.
Then we'll come back to all this fighting probably next year when things are more stable.
Correct. So I'm saying to you, the fighting here, I'm trying to say is that they're also doing it for the survival, but they think about their political survival more than anything. But I'm going to you is that let's work on the survival of the economic of our country. If our country cannot survive this, right? If one day we end up like Zimbabwe, for example, you think you want to be a politician?
Yeah.
The answer is no. There's no country to run. There's no resources to use. Right? So I'm saying to you is that we should set aside our difference at the moment. Let's not talk about this and that, right? For example, the whole MCO taught us to set aside our difference. You know what? We cannot do Chengming for the Chinese. There's no Raya for the Malay, perhaps, as the way it's used to be, correct? There's no Keramatan. There's no Gawai for the Sarawakian. So you ask me, at the end of the day, we all must learn to put aside our differences and face a common enemy that we cannot see with our bare eye. This virus is so tiny, we never see. If you ask me, this is a world war. I call it a world war. Why? It's a world war between different worlds. The human world and the virus world, we are fighting. But yes, nobody using a gun, whatever that is, but it's worse than that. In fact, everyone's using a gun today. You know what? Everywhere you go, the temperature gun is shooting at you, right?
That's a good one. Yeah.
So I'm saying to you is that I think setting aside the difference, that's what I mean by collaboration with the enemy, correct? So when you say that setting aside, for example, Guan Ying and Zafro should do together. You know why? You know what happened last time. I know what happened, and I have the relevant skill because I am in the corporate sector. I know the bank can sustain this, whatever that is. You understand? So now we collaborate. You already familiar with the budget or the financial situation of the country for the last 2 years. Let's collaborate instead of fighting.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good statement. We have come to almost the end. Just one last question. Okay.
Sure.
Something up from 30,000 feet down to 3 feet. Tomorrow, we as entrepreneurs, business owners, or even people, staff, all right, of companies, stakeholders in this economy, what should we do? First thing tomorrow when we get into to work, whether at offices or at our home, what role should we be doing?
I think if I can use the word is that your role should be a connector.
Mm.
All right? Your role should be a connector. Connect what you have. Connect your network. Connect your resources. All right? I'm saying to you is that first thing you must shift your role. You're not the boss. You're not the employee. You're not the employer. You must be a connector. Right? Whatever happened at this moment, first of all, it's called restart for a reason. So we have been disconnected for a while. So one of the things about restart, just to say, we all supposed to come back to the office and start doing this, and your things start to warm up. You cannot straight away give them 24-hour shift straight away. You have to warm it up nicely. So I said, you must start to connect. So by you connect, which means that connect with your staff, connect with your bosses, connect with supplier. Remember, I think this 6 months have never been right. Again, I love our XPM, right? He taught me a lot of things. He said,
Which
help you,
XPM? You did mention Boss School.
Boss School, yes. I'm talking about Boss School. I still want to learn about Boss School. And Boss School say one more thing that's very true in this moment, right? Now I'm going to learn the Boss School wisdom. He said, cash is king. Remember that? Correct? I can tell you that cash is king. Correct. Cash is king. So you see, Boss School already predict the future. He already know cash is king within these 6 months. But I'm highlighting to you, the idea is this. Knowing cash in case is not enough. Dato, if I can share with you, if cash is king, who is the kingmaker? Would you know the answer? When you give it a try, if cash is king, who is the kingmaker?
The guy who appears on the
Okay, so the answer that I give to everyone here, I think will be helpful for everyone. Very simple. Just remember, your supplier plus your customer is the kingmaker.
Yeah.
You know why? Because the moment you can manage your supplier and your customer properly, no matter how you do it, you will generate cash.
Right.
And therefore, these are your kingmaker, and you are the magician that put this in together. So I'm saying to you, cash is king, your supplier and your customer is your kingmaker. So let's learn, and you are the magician that place them in the right place and make sure that we all survive together.
Well said. It reminds me of the business model canvas that we once talked about, right?
Mm-hmm.
How are you going to make business? The value that you create is, between your interactions and your engagements with your income side, right? Your revenue generating side, your customers, and your cost level your cost factor as well, which are your suppliers. Because when these two things come together, that's where you make money. So you just got to connect the two together. Very, very well said.
Precisely, Dato. That's why you are my lecturer, and you will forever be my teacher. Yes.
Thank you, and I'm proud to have you as my student, was my student, and now a very, very accomplished and respected lawyer, a flamboyant one, but no less so knowledgeable. And thank you so much for being with us tonight and willing to share. And we have got Timmy, if you remember, Yuan Timmy from ATC as well. She said, well said, Chris. You have got Feng Yi from, I think those days, from Property Edge, Simon, Andrew Leong, Dr. Andrew Leong. They all said hello as well. And Stephen Howe said, resources is king. Well, these are guys that I just picked up from this comments role. Just want to share with you, just want to record our appreciation for spending more than an hour right now. For us, it's been an enjoyable moment engaging with you. Thank you so much. My master.
Thank you, everyone. Namaste. Everyone stay safe, right? And keep zero spread, please.
Okay. Thank you very much, everybody. You have been an excellent audience, and thank you again so much, Grandmaster Chris Tan. Good night.
Thank you, Dato. Good night, everyone.
Stay productive, stay safe. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.